Yeah, like I can kind of be more honest now that I'm kind of further away from the show, and that anyone that says they're going on the show just for love is full of crap. Like it's just like, there's obviously that option, and you can see it's worked. I think a couple got married a few years ago that met on it, and Tommy and Molly are obviously one from my year that it worked for. But like the chances of you finding love is very slim.
But I'm not big into the what are they called? Realistic TV? What's it called? Reality TV.
Reality TV.
Reality TV.
And you would have loved to be in it back in the day, man.
Oh, mate. I tell you what, and the reason why I say that, Greg, is because I watched your season, your year, however many years it's been running. And then I just kind of, when you're making notes about it, and one of the things I was going to say that I don't watch the reality TV. I've only seen Big Brother, Celebrity Jungle, SAS. Actually, I've seen a few of them. But I watched yours, actually. So, I mean, it is bizarre that, I think we kind of met each other before you went on there. So, and I said to my wife when we were watching it, I said, I recognise this lad, but I didn't want to piggyback it because you're a rugby player. You know what I mean?
No, you do. There's no way you recognise it from the 7 circuit.
I don't know where. I recognise you. I swear. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't make it up. But maybe I'm just clinging on as a bit of a fanboy.
Well, firstly, there's definitely no way you haven't watched Love Island before, man. You fit the bill for personality and looks-wise.
I swear. Well, mate, you ain't seen the rig, mate. I wouldn't. But I promise to God I haven't seen it. But
I know Goody wouldn't make the cut now, but you would.
I think he'd struggle, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you know where you might have recognised it from? You did this is before now, Love Island and all that. You did a gig, the Rugby Pod thing in Dublin, in a place called Cafe on Seine, and I went to that and I got a photo with you afterwards. This is before anything I blew up, like, so I went up to you and the first thing you said to me, I walked up and you go, "Geez, you're nearly as good looking as me, man."
Is that what I said?
The first thing you said to me, yeah.
Oh, mate, the arrogance was high. If it was after the show, mate, I would have been buzzing. So, no, mate, lovely stuff. Mate, it's been about a year, hasn't it, since the show?
It's been, so what's it, September now. I got out August 2019, got out as if it was a prison. So it's been about 13 months now, yeah. Crazy 13 months. And sure, 6 of them were spent in lockdown.
Oh, mate, well, I can't even imagine. But let's talk a little bit about it because I've done a bit of research and stuff, and obviously I follow your social media, but I also have a gauge through my life experience. I act as if I'm full of wisdom, right? But I've had a few different experiences playing international rugby and enjoying the small bit of fame that comes with it and then, disappears when you finish playing. I just want to get a gauge on how it's been this kind of last year. Take the lockdown aside, just maybe from where you kind of went in to then you come out and it's like literally glitz and glamour. Everything, as a young lad, you probably think I am on cloud 9. And then I don't imagine that it carries on in that vein. So just a gauge from kind of how it's been the last year for you.
Yeah, man, it's a serious question, and I've kind of changed my answer to it as the year's gone on. Initially when it came out, so I only spent 13 days in the villa, 6 days, and then 7 days I came out because of a family funeral, then went back in. So I was only in there for a couple of days, won the thing, and everything just blew up. Like, I went from normal lads playing rugby, about 1,000, 2,000 followers, to over 1 million people following me, everyone watching every step that I did, which was weird, but I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. Obviously, like, I was the man about town. Everyone did something to do with me. Who doesn't like that? But then the issue was that I wanted to get back to play with the 7th team to get to the Olympics. And following the Love Island celebrity street of going to everything in London on the red carpet doesn't align with training with the boys and trying to go to the Olympics. So I quickly jumped out of that and back into the normal life. And that didn't go down too well with some people. But you know what? I stuck to my principles, stuck to my values, and I kind of got stuck with egg in my face now that the Olympics got postponed. And I've started studying to do my law exams again, just because, if Instagram crashes in the morning, what am I going to do there? Rugby 7s has a limited lifetime, so it's great. I picked up a lot of brand deals along the way, but in the last couple of months, I've realised that the longevity of Love Island just isn't there, man. And you got to have other things going on. It was great, but other things matter in life,
did it do what it set out to do? Were you in there to find someone, or was it a bit of everything, boost your profile, the experience? Because you don't know you're going to get caught. Well, especially you weren't in the show at the start, so it might never have happened. But when you look back on it now, did it do what you kind of wanted it to do? Did it live up to expectation?
Yeah, like I can kind of be more honest now that I'm kind of further away from the show, and that anyone that says they're going on the show just for love is full of crap. Like, it's just like, there's obviously that option, and you can see it's worked. I think a couple got married a few years ago that met on it, and Tommy and Molly are obviously one from my year that it worked for. But like, the chances of you finding love is very slim, but that's the chance you take. But obviously, look, so many people go in for the opportunities from it. Like, call a spade, that's what the show does. It propels you into the public view. So I kind of knew that going in, as well as the chance of maybe finding someone. But the fact that I was going in as the only Irish person, like, and I knew that I was always coming home, the chances of something working properly were quite slim. And the girl, I don't know if you watched it properly, like, but the girl I coupled up with, Amber, she's class, man. Like, she's one of the most amazing people I've met in my life. But I just didn't want to get deeper into a relationship and then having to acknowledge then that it wasn't going to work. So I kind of jumped out of it early. Which in hindsight, we probably could have dealt with it more in a private matter, but look, the world jumped on it, and that's the way it was. It was just my decision not to get too deep into the relationship because I knew people would get hurt. Which, look, it's done now. Hindsight's a great thing.
And what do you mean? Do I know who it was, mate? I watched it to the end. I was with the fireman that was ripped to shreds as well. And
Michael,
what's he doing now? I've not seen him.
Yeah, so himself, I don't know if you remember Chris, the guy with the big hair, funny guy, skinny.
I liked him.
Funny guy. And Jordan Hames, do you remember him? He was kind of a man about town as well. He was with Anna. I don't know if you remember him.
Is he the one that didn't have a decent rig?
He had a decent enough rig, yeah.
Wow, I mean, compared to Michael,
compared to Michael, no one has a decent rig. But yeah, those three boys are living with each other in London, kind of doing the whole Love Island thing. And I'm in contact with them a lot. But other than that, I don't really talk to many other Islanders, man. Like, there's 36 of them. And I only met a couple of them towards the last 2 weeks. Like, so I met most people in the reunion after Love Island. So I keep in contact with those three boys. But that's about it, yeah. Just kind of doing my own thing then.
Mate, yeah, amazing. And mate, we'll come on to the rugby. Just lastly, I mean, COVID's been tough, but one of the things that I found quite interesting watching the Love Island thing unfold and being one of them people who haven't watched it for the first time, you start going on the Daily Mail, you start going on social media, you start following the different people, is you actually dig deeper into the story around the mental health part. And this is something I don't speak too much about, but I think because of the show that you were on and the situation we find ourselves in and the fame and fortune, the small bit of fortune I'm sure that you found after, do they look after you after? Is there someone that keeps in contact and they're like, look, mate, how are you? It's been mental for you, 13 days, and all of a sudden you're a superstar in the UK and Ireland. They don't look out for you? Yeah,
in fairness to ITV, man, they are on top of us for that kind of stuff. It's nearly to the point where it's annoying. I only got a text there about an hour ago off ITV person being like, hey, what's going on? Are you all right? And even before you go into the show, you have to go meet a therapist to make sure you're all right. And the first time I met the therapist or psychologist, whatever you'd like to refer to them as, she initially was like, I'm not sure if you're actually in the right mindset to go into the show. I don't think you've actually thought about everything about it. She made me go away and think about it and come back and meet her again before she'd sign off on me going in. And every day there's psychologists coming in and out. And afterwards, you have to do a mandatory session with a psychologist, and they message you every week and check up on you. So they're doing as much as they can. I don't think ITV can do much more than that. And it's just unfortunate there's been a couple of sad moments that have happened in relation to the show. But look, you can't just attribute that to the show alone. A lot of things happen in life,
Yeah, absolutely. What's the state of the Sevens like in Ireland now? If we talk a bit about rugby, you've obviously seen about England, the disbandment of it is mental. How is it in Ireland?
And we're actually lucky enough in that we still have our program running. Like, England have to get rid of theirs, and thankfully some of them have gone into the Premiership. I see North has gone into London Irish, and I think a fella's gone into Saracens. But it's probably the worst sport in the world you could play in that it's only international. There's no Leicester or there's no whatever Munster. There's nothing like that. It's just Ireland, England, and everyone has to fly to one country. And there's women's teams as well, so it's flying like 30 teams into one populated area. It's not going to work like for at least another couple of months anyway.
Yeah, you could see it, and that was the first thing that I thought about. Me and Goody go to Hong Kong every year, and we were like,
Yeah.
right, this ain't happening. This isn't happening. A little bit about the 15s. How much interest do you show in the 15s? Are you a rugby fan, or I mean, a big rugby fan?
Yeah. So I learnt my trade in Munster. I was with them for 4 years. Went all the way up, did the whole thing, 18s, 19s schools, 20s, Irish 20s, the whole lot, like everyone does along the pathway. Got into the academy, was in training with the senior team, the whole lot. It looked like it was going well for me. And then I went to visit an ex-girlfriend of mine in New York, which in hindsight I probably shouldn't have done, because I went cycling a bike. Fell off the bike, lacerated my Achilles. That phone call home to Munster, man, was one of the worst things. Like, I was like, they didn't believe me that I fell off the bike until I got home and actually showed them the leg. They thought it was obviously a drunken thing. Like, got back to the surgeon. He was like, "Yeah, you've just completely cut your Achilles in two. Like, we have to operate on you straight away." And my leg's never been the same since. And thank God Munster gave me another year to kind of rehab and get the leg right again. But like, I was competing against the likes of, like Darren Sweetenham's, Alex Wootton's, people like that. Zebo was in there, Earlsey was in there. Like, there just wasn't any space for a guy with a gammy leg. So the sevens picked me up, and it's been, at the time, man, it was probably one of the worst things that happened in my life, because I'd put Munster on a pedestal. I wanted to play for Munster more than I wanted to play for Ireland. You know what I mean? Munster's to be on the playing Tone Park, that whole thing. And it just got taken away from me for an accident that happened that it was out of my control. It wasn't like an effort thing. Like, it was just my leg was gone. And look, that happened, and it was tough. But then I got put up by the sevens, which allowed me to see the world and allowed me to go into Love Island and allowed me to get to where I am now. So everything kind of happens for a reason, you know?
So would you have changed it or not? That was going to be my final question, but I may as well ask it now. You know?
Yeah, see, now when you ask me, I wouldn't change it. And if someone offered me a 15s contract, I probably wouldn't take it. But if you asked me that 3 years ago, I would have bit your hand off for it, which is weird, isn't it?
Why wouldn't you not take a 15s contract? I mean, I wouldn't either. It's too hard. But now looking back, why not?
It would just have to be a serious amount of cash for a team that I love to take me away from the sevens team, which I travel the world with my mates and just play a really enjoyable game. Like, do you know what I mean? And you know, I'd just be stuck in the wing looking at fellas like you crashing up the ball and trying to get one or two touches of the ball, like during a 15s game. It's just not as fun for a small, fast fella like me. Do you know what I mean? So I just think sevens is the way for me. That's not saying that I might not play 15s ever again, but at the moment I'm just quite happy where I am, you know.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned I didn't know about your Achilles. I mean, not that I would have. Blame the women, mate. It's their fault. They, you know, the eyes light up, the heart lights up.
Man, and I knew the girl. I think I'd met her in the middle of March, and I was flying over to America to meet her in May. Like, I'd met her for the first time in March, and I was flying to America in May. Like, what is wrong with young fellas? Like, do you know?
Well, they said I was listening to a podcast. I know you listen to Joe Rogan. I know you put the Mike Tyson one. Have you heard the one with Miley Cyrus or not?
Joe Rogan and Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, Joe Rogan, Miley Cyrus.
No,
yeah,
I haven't seen that. No.
Mate, it's it's unreal. The part of it, they talk about love and they talk about the dopamine drop that you get for love. So anyway, that goes back to the point of tearing your Achilles in New York. Maybe it was worth it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. No, the only kind of podcast I listen to, man, are Joe Rogan, because he's unreal, and yourself and Goody are just so funny, man. The way you go at each other. I only listen to it for the fact that you slag each other, not like the rugby part of it.
Oh, we'll have to bring that back then, because we're like, do we need to go down a route of being a little bit more ruggers? I stumble through some parts of it, and no one laughs, and all I need to say is, "How fat's Goody in the place of ruts?" And I'm like, this is it's too easy. It's rugby, is it? It's just too easy. Just tell me then, how is the body? I heard another stat through the RugbyPass team that you run 100 in 10.88. I mean, I do it in about 14. Yeah. I thought that was fast, actually. But you still rapid?
Funny thing, man, coming up through rugby, I was the fast guy. You know, put him on the wing, he's fast. Even though I wanted to get in on the ball and play out half and play scrum half, the whole lot. No, you're fast, out to the wing. And it was great. And I did 10.87 as a 16-year-old, and I was flying up. But the thing is, man, if you're not running low 10s, like 10 1s, 10 2s, even near 10 flat at 18, there's no point. Like, you know, you're dealing with high school kids in America and Jamaica that are going sub 10, like, you know. So I was kind of like, you know, call a spade here. Hung up the spikes and went playing rugby, got a contract off Munster. And I was like, yeah, I'm the fast guy, grand. Still the fast guy playing 15s. And then I got into the 7s. Now, bear in mind, my leg was kind of gammy, but like, these are some of the fastest lads I've ever met in my life, or I've seen them with flesh in my eye. Like Jordan Conroy, for instance, he's top try scorer in the world 7 circuit at the moment. He's just a random lad that got picked up in Tullamore and Offaly, like a small little town in the middle of Ireland. He was seen at like an invitational midnight sevens, pissed up, and by one of the lads. He was like, "Come on up to sevens training." That's how like raw the sevens was a few years ago. Brought him in, couldn't catch a ball, couldn't catch a cold, anything. Kind of trained him up, and now he's the world sevens top try scorer because he's just so fast, like, you know. And then a guy called Terry Kennedy, obviously Carl Niles is there, Perry Baker in America. So I thought I was fast one until I got nicely humbled by the sevens circuit.
Mate, I know you're still fairly young. You've got a lot of stuff still to do in the game and the law degree. And I asked it before, but I'll probably just ask it again. What's the dream?
So when I got out of Love Island, I got given a radio show, a breakfast show, the most popular one in Ireland, and then I also got a TV show, which I like. It was kind of like a poor man's Graham Norton with a rugby style to it. So like we had Paul O'Connell on, we Stringer on, we had like Nigel Owens is on. I feel like that. So it was actually pretty good. We should get you on and a Goody over if we have season 2.
That must have been weird for you, right? So because you're a rugby boy, you're a rugby bloke. You know, and then all of a sudden you're more famous than O'Connell and Nigel Owens and all these.
I was sitting there interviewing O'Connell, and I literally had a poster in my room growing up, like, you know. But so that kind of made me realize that I really enjoy presenting, whether it's on the radio or in TV. I just love that kind of thrill. I get kind of an adrenaline rush off being in front of the camera or knowing that people are listening to me. So maybe down the line I'll get a gig there, but there's not many going at the moment with COVID. But that would be the ideal now, and keep the kind of online kind of stuff going. And I love fitness, man. I'm big into fitness, like, as sure you probably know yourself, there's always that desire to train and things like that. I actually qualified as a weight loss coach over COVID just for the crack. I have a Pilates qualification just for the crack. So if I could just mix all them together somehow, it'd be ideal, but we'll see what happens.
That's class, mate. Well, I wish you well, and we're definitely going to have a beer. If it's not in Ireland, then definitely in Hong Kong, mate.
100%, man. I'd love that. We'll get you into the South Stand.
Mate, I went there last time. Someone threw some water on me, what it felt like, but it was warm last time I was in there. So as I was watching Sebastian Chabal sing, I would walk 500 miles. I mean, it's mental. It's mental. I know,
yeah. It's one of the best places ever. And they were trying to just run it independently, Hong Kong, because they know it's such a big money maker for them as well. But I think World Rugby were like, you obviously can't have a sevens tournament. So they're trying their best to get it going. So next year, fingers crossed.
Absolutely, mate. Cheers. I really appreciate that. Thanks for talking to me, mate.
Nice one, man. Thanks for having me on.